Hi and welcome to episode 68 of the This Is Reportage podcast. My name is Alan Law, I'm the founder of This Reportage and This Reportage family, and I'm a photographer too. A real pleasure to chat to the fab Ang Waterton for the podcast today. This is a podcast from one Cornwall to another, as Ang is based in Cornwall, Canada, whereas I'm in Cornwall in the UK. Great little fact there. A brilliant wedding and family photographer, and recently won 3 Family Story Awards in a single collection. Something that we talk about on the episode, as well as many other things, including her tips for people just starting out as a documentary family photographer, transatlantic relationships, her journey from teacher to photographer, her profound hatred of socks, the importance of taking on legacy work for her clients, our Netflix synopsis game, and so much more. Before we get on to Ang, just a little few mentions about some upcoming events. On Friday the 19th of March at 11 a.m. GMT, we're doing a Facebook Live with the fab Yves Scheppers, who is our TIR Photographer of the Year 2020. He'll be telling us how he captured each and every one of his 20 Reportage Awards from that year. It should be really, really interesting and fun too. Be great if you want to watch live and ask Yves any questions. It will be on our public Facebook page, which you can find at facebook.com/thisisreportage. And if you can't make it live, it will be available to watch exclusively for TIR members afterwards. Then, on Monday 22nd of March at 1 p.m. GMT, we're doing our very first Clubhouse chat. I'm going to be joined by this very lovely and talented 3, Sanne De Block, Louise and Dave Scholes, all of whom have actually been on the podcast before as well. We're going to be talking about the mistakes we made and other horror stories, whether that's from a wedding, a family shoot, business, or just general life mistake. It would be great if you wanted to join us, listen in, ask any questions, or even better, share your own mistakes with us. Should be fun. Finally, just a reminder that the deadline for our next awards on both our sites is just days away now. Submit by 23:59 GMT on 24th of March 2021. Right, over to Ang. Hey Ang, how you doing?
I'm well, thanks, Alan. How are you?
Yeah, good, thank you. I'm all fine. So how's things with you? Because this podcast is from like one Cornwall to another, isn't it? Are you in Cornwall?
It is. I am. Yeah, it's Cornwall, Ontario. So I'm an hour west of Montreal or an hour southeast of Ottawa.
Oh, okay, cool. Well, that's cool. Being from one Cornwall to another, that is cool. I'd like to visit yours one day. I've never been to Canada at all, actually. You've been to this Cornwall in the UK, though, haven't you, before?
I have, yeah. As a teenager with a show choir in high school, and then again, I lived in the UK for 6 years. My husband in Wales, so we did a fair bit of touring around in those 6 years.
Okay, cool. And which Cornwall is better then, yours or mine?
Oh, mine has my family, but yours has a lot more ocean. We're about 13 hours inland. So.
Oh, are you? Oh man, I'm sorry. Yeah. My geography is so bad. I did not know that. Wow. Yeah.
Yeah. There's no sea here.
Oh man, yeah. I think I would miss that. I'm originally from the Midlands in England, so I didn't have any sea.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, I would miss it now. So our nearest beach is only like an 8-minute drive actually here. So. Cool.
Yeah, I get a little bit jealous when I think about that sometimes. You said you're from the Midlands. My show choir did the exchanges with an orchestra in Dudley.
Oh, in Dudley. I used to go to Dudley
too. My first introduction.
Oh, that's funny. Cool. What was that like then, a show choir? That sounds really cool.
Oh, it feels very cliched, but it was a lot of fun. It was just like getting up on stage and having a ball.
Oh, that sounds good. No,
singing and dancing. It was fun.
You must have a good voice then. You're going to
I'm a terrible singer. But I was really good at faking it. So.
Oh, that's funny. That's cool that you toured all over then and came to Cornwall as well. That's a big deal.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Yeah.
That sounds cool. I remember being in a choir as a kid, but I was so bad. I was very bad. Anyway, let's and how what's it like? What is the climate like where you are then? Anyway, what's the weather like in where you are?
So our weather is driven by the St. Lawrence River. So we get some pretty significant temperature fluctuations. We hit 40 degrees in summer and humid, and we usually will hit somewhere down around -40 in winter.
Wow.
never really get used to one temperature, but I mean, it's nice and spring-like today. We're hitting major thaw, so we're up around 7 degrees, I think, today. But again, it was minus 14 yesterday. So you yeah, it's pretty wild.
That is wild. I cannot imagine. That's like the opposite to the UK weather, isn't it? When it's just so temperature.
Yeah, absolutely. I lived in London when there was like 2 inches of snow that fell and Heathrow shut down.
Yeah.
Visiting from Canada, and she couldn't fly home.
Oh, no.
Just thought it was hysterical because they just couldn't cope. London just shut down. But when you think about the fact that, the UK has very little snow removal or big skills for snow at all, then
we're just not set up for
regular tires. No, and driving gets real exciting. So it became understandable very quickly. But when we just looked out the window and we're like, there's no snow on the ground. This is nothing. It was funny that it came to a screeching halt.
That is funny. Yeah, that is funny. It must be. Is it ever tricky for you with your work? With family shoots and weddings as well. Like the weather. Have you ever not been able to make it to something because of like the snow?
I've never gotten stuck, but it's funny. I'm actually going through some stories, some family sessions for the next round of submissions.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
I'm looking at one session where I showed up and it was all going to be outside because it was right after our most recent lockdown lifted. And it was snowing really heavily. And it was a little bit tricky because when we get that kind of snowfall, it can sometimes, like, if you get enough snowflakes between you and your subject, it blocks out their faces or blocks out part of their face.
Oh, right. Yeah.
So little things like that you don't really think about. Like there's really pretty snowfall and then there's such thing as too much snow. But no, I've never gotten stranded on my way to work.
Okay, that's good. Yeah. Well, that's funny though, you saying about different types of snow, because I would not have a clue about that. It's so rare, especially in my Cornwall. We never see snow.
No, they're never getting snow.
Oh, it's funny. Okay, and let's go back a bit then. So tell me, how did you become a photographer? Because I read that you used to be a trampoline coach. Is that right?
Yeah. Yes, I did. Cool. I used to jump competitively when I was in high school. Wow. And I started coaching around the same time. And when I moved back from the UK, rejoined my club as a coach for a bit then. But it was really just like an evening activity while I was building my business. But I was a high school teacher.
Cool.
Yeah, I taught English and math mostly, and then whatever the way that teachers do, you end up teaching whatever else they load into your timetable.
All right. Okay. Did you enjoy that? So what ages were you teaching?
Well, in the UK, I taught from year 7 to 11.
Yeah. Okay.
I ended up with a special needs teaching qualification, a literacy qualification. So I ended up doing like one-on-one work for pupils with some form of literacy challenge from year 3 all the way up to senior school.
Okay. Right.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then you carried on doing that a bit when you went back to Canada then?
Oh, sorry. And then, so there's the hiring system in my province is totally different than in the UK. You don't just show up to a school and submit a resume. Our province is broken into school boards, and the school board does the hiring, and you can be assigned to any school within the board within your region.
Right.
And they manage staffing that way. So if they know that they have X number of pupils, then they need Y number of teachers. And if the number of pupils drops, then the number of teachers drops. So there was a decline in the birth rate that had started working its way through the school system when I was still overseas. And I knew I wasn't going to have a job when I got back.
Oh, right. Okay.
So I had kind of 2 years notice to get my act together and figure something else out. And I knew it was either going to be food-based or photography-based. And I did a couple of workshops through the Royal Photographic Society, or Royal, I don't know if that's the right, it's the RPS. And just started to kind of explore a little bit and learn settings and learn some of the details about wedding photography and studio portraiture. Mm-hmm. And then leapt in with both feet whenever I moved back home. My husband was staying in London for another couple of years.
Well, that must have been tough.
Yeah, I don't recommend transatlantic marriages. We made it work. We were really fortunate that he had a really good job.
Right. Okay.
He had to wait out the processing period for the immigration paperwork, and that was what caused the situation.
It was 2 years then. Wow.
Well, I think it was about 8 months of heel dragging because it's a lot of paperwork that you have.
Okay.
And had to get a police check from Australia and submit a ton of photos and all sorts of stuff that Canadian government requires for permanent residency. It was about a year, I think, of processing time.
Oh man, that's a long time though to be.
It was, yeah. That's a long time.
Oh man. Yeah.
Every 6 weeks or so, one of us was on an airplane.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah.
It's so mad how you can do that. Well, back in the day, you used to be able to do that. You can't do that at the moment, can you?
Not so much. No, I'm really glad that it's a thing of the past, because if it was happening currently, I have some clients who have been in that situation in the last year, and that is not something I would ever want to be doing right now.
No, that must be
because you wouldn't be doing it. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh man, that's awful. You said before talking about doing that it was going to be food or photography. What about food photography?
Yeah.
Not food photography.
Well, I'm not much of a food stylist, although it is something that I started exploring last year. Just because I realized it's ridiculous that there's so much food that comes out of our kitchen that I've never actually photographed it. So I just started playing around with it a little bit.
Okay, cool.
Commercial work, yeah.
Oh, that's good for actual commercial work then as well. Yeah.
Well, kind of to put together our commercial portfolio to take to a stock agency. But I mean, food photography is such a specialized genre and very specific niche. So you do have to really nail your styling.
Right. Okay.
Spray bottles and plating and all sorts of stuff. So.
Oh, really? So I know nothing about that. I wouldn't have a clue.
Oh, yeah. It's very, very styled.
Okay.
Very
you get hungry doing it as well. It must make you hungry, no?
It's funny. Whenever I don't get hungry when I'm cooking, if I'm cooking a lot of food specifically, because if I'm just surrounded by it, then I'm like, no, too much.
That is funny.
There's some days where I'll have cooked all day and the meal will be ready and I will just pick at it because I'm like, no, too much. I overdid this one.
That's funny. Oh, so I interrupted your story though about how. So then, how did you get on your first wedding or first family shoot? How did you get that?
So I built a business plan when I was still in the UK. So before I had even moved home, and I really just threw myself in. I did the numbers, and I was just like, I'm going to make this work. I gave myself the 2 years that Rich was still in London to start turning a profit, because I think that's what the Canadian government kind of allows you is you've got 2 years to run a deficit and then you need to start showing that it's a profitable business effort. Otherwise, they're going to start asking some questions.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah. And I don't know if those questions come in the form of an audit or if, I don't know.
That's a bit scary.
Would be. Exactly. Yeah. So I just kind of said, well, we're going to give this everything we've got for 2 years and see what we can do. And it was funny because a couple of years ago, a friend asked a question about or made a comment about watching my business grow. And I said, at the time when I first started, failure wasn't even a thought. It was just, I have my plan, I know my numbers, away we go. And I was so focused on going that I never thought about what would happen if I had nowhere to go. So I guess that's the best way to do it.
Yeah, definitely. That's a great way.
It worked. Yeah, but it just never occurred to me that the flip side could happen at the time. I guess that's also just naivety and starting a business. But
it's a great way to do it though, because otherwise you can be paralyzed if you think about the other side too much, the possible failings of it. So it's good not to think like that. And then, so when you were doing that kind of business plan thing, did you have a methodology of how you were going to get your first kind of bookings? Had you done a lot of photography in your life up to then?
So that's the kind of embarrassing part was no. I mean, I didn't have any kids. I know a lot of female photographers start because they have a child and they start pictures of their baby. whereas I had just traveled, and that's what I took photos of. And I always found that I was more interested in taking pictures of people in the environments that I was in, rather than just landscapes.
That's cool.
So that was kind of what had piqued my interest. But I didn't have any specific plan. It was just to get back home into my community and reintroduce myself to people, because I had been gone off and on for something like 10 years by the time that I moved home with university, and I had gone backpacking in there as well and taught out of province. So I needed to just reintegrate myself and find ways to get shooting. And very conveniently, my sister had a child not too long after I moved home. I think maybe 9 months after I moved home. So that gave me a practice subject whenever I needed to
that's handy.
learn things. Yeah. So I had a subject at hand, and he was like a super mild mannered baby, and he just the most placid child you could ever ask for.
Oh, that's cool.
Great, because he would just sit there quite happily and play with whatever I gave him while I worked on whatever I needed to work on.
That's perfect practice, isn't it?
Yeah, pretty handy.
So it must be thousands of photos of him.
There were quite a few. Yep. Yeah, and he was quickly joined by my next nephew the next year, who was a very different personality type. He was very exuberant and like super happy, and it was two totally different characters to kind of.
It's mad, isn't it? The different characters at the same family.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
I love that. So then, did you shoot families first, or weddings first, or what happened?
A bit of both. I promoted myself with a great deal of confidence.
That's great.
And I started with family I basically did whatever needed to be done to pay some bills. So some families, some weddings. I think I did a little bit of real estate my first year.
Oh, cool.
Really whatever kind of came up while I learned how to work within all of those genres. So it was great in terms of helping a really steep learning curve. And it just kind of went from there. It wasn't until I was about 4 years into the business that I started looking at documentary family photography. Before I even knew that it was a genre, I was just like, I think I just want to kind of shoot families doing their thing.
That's cool. Yeah, because I was going to ask you what drew you to documentary family photography in particular, rather than like portraiture or lifestyle.
Yeah, it was just kind of this feeling that I was like, I don't think that I really want to do just posed stuff. I feel like there's a way to do this. And then I found out that there was indeed, and it was a thing, and I could kind of hone that skill. So I've been working on that ever since. That's kept me busy for 6 years.
Oh, that's cool. And you're so good at it as well. You've got a great article on your site as well about what is documentary family photography.
Oh, thank you.
You write really well. You do write really well.
Thank you. I think that's the English teacher in me. I used to always journal. Writing has always been a I wouldn't say a passion of mine, but something that I really enjoy. So it's been fun to find something that allows me to write as well as take photos.
Yeah, that is true, isn't it? Yeah, because we actually write so much in our job as a photographer. You really do, don't you?
Yeah.
Skill. I did a degree in English actually, and I had no idea what I was going to do with that. But I think having that is just give you your overall, big general life skill that you use in everything, really. So.
Absolutely, and it's interesting the ways that English degree can kind of resurface just in terms of storytelling and the way that I reflect on my own family sessions and my own client's experience or my experience with my client's day. And, using even just a broadened vocabulary or focusing in on your characters. It's little things that you just don't think your English degree is going to do for you. And then suddenly...
That's true, isn't it? Yeah, that is true. It's true. And I'm always thankful for my degree as well, because we studied the first Harry Potter book actually on my degree, and I never would have read it if it wasn't for that. So
No way.
yeah, no, yeah, we did. Yeah.
That professor was pretty up with the times then.
Yes, that's true, isn't it? And I also met my wife for the first week at university, so that was a very good thing as well.
No way.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of those Frosh Week, or what do you call it, Freshers Week?
Oh yeah, Freshers Week, yeah.
A lot of those Freshers Week romances don't last. So
I know. Well, we went out together in the first year, and then we did split up, and then we went out again in the second year, and we split up, and then we went out together in the third year, and we've been together ever since then. So.
Well, hey, third time's a charm.
That's it. If at first you did. That's funny. Oh, and talking about three, you recently won 3 family story awards in a single round, which is
I did.
Yeah, that's truly
I
remarkable.
almost fell off my chair.
Well, it's so awesome because it's so hard to win one, let alone 3, and a 3 in a single round is awesome. So yeah, not to put you on the spot or anything, but what do you think makes for an award-winning story?
Ooh,
yeah, tricky one.
So it's really interesting. I did a mentorship in 2019 with Kirsten Lewis and Kirsten Lewis Bethman now. And one of our assignments was about storytelling within our community. And because of that assignment, we were critiqued at the end of that month by Matt Mendelsohn, who is a wonderful photographer. And I highly recommend people look him up. Cool. He's also a really interesting person. And he kind of helped solidify my understanding of storytelling in terms of, the detail and the portrait and the establishing shot and taking kind of a cinematic or literary approach to it, depending on how you want to look at it.
Okay.
And so I culled my stories and pulled them together based on those sorts of details, and like, do I have something that is a little bit wider, and do I have something that gets in really close, and is there a variety of viewpoints? Do I have a protagonist or an antagonist? Those sorts of things really actually helped me when I was going through my images and deciding which sessions might work for this.
Okay, that's cool. And that's like your English, like the English degree we were talking about as well, isn't it? The storytelling.
Yeah, it is.
That's funny. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And it's such great work, though. So good, so deserved. And
Thank you.
Did I recognize? Is Marika in one of the images in one of the stories?
Yes, she is. Yeah.
It's Svartskjolden, isn't it? Yes.
Svartskjolden.
Okay. Yeah. You say it better than me.
I probably, Marika, if you hear this, I'm sorry if I just butchered your last name.
I apologize as well. Yeah, so that's her. She's in one of the stories. Is that her family in the story?
It is her family, yeah. So I went to see them in I want to say that was also 2019, but I might be wrong. And hung out for a few days, and we went to Rotterdam, her and her boys, and then I got to tag along. And it wasn't planned. It wasn't, it was meant to be a shoot. It's just, I said, like, do you mind if I just photograph your kids whenever it's interesting? And it was the most freeing experience because I hadn't photographed children just for myself.
Right, yeah.
In quite a long time. And I was, reliving all of these thoughts on, or tips on geometry and light and stuff. And they just happened to find the most perfect things interesting.
Oh, that's cool.
It's fantastic. Like, what is happening?
Oh, so that's awesome when it comes together awesome. Like that. So, yeah.
So I'd had this like
and the water fountains and stuff in it as well.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah. The whole day I was just like, this is surreal that all these places exist in one afternoon.
Sent by the photography gods for you. But no, but
seriously,
it's not that. It's not luck though. You've got to be able to be in that mindset to be able to see that and to see the possibilities, in the frame as well. So it's all down to you still.
Well, thank you. It was just interesting to see. I had done foundation the year before, and
cool. Is that how you met Marika?
It is, yeah, because she had been the workshop photographer that year.
Cool. Yeah, right.
And so I had been working on like lines and shape with Tyler and Sitla.
Cool.
It foundation kind of at that point felt like something that was done to me, not with me, because I was just trying to take all of this information in, and I was kind of along for the ride at some point. So it was like, okay, we're going to just try this and see what happens. But, you know, I'm just taking in everything and doing what I'm told. And then I spent like a year trying to process all of the information that I had taken on, and still felt like I was missing stuff every time. And then whenever I was with Marika, all of a sudden I was like, oh, here it is. And it was just
together.
Realization that, oh, you can do this. This is
that's cool.
Yeah. So it was really incredible to have that story win an award, because it was so meaningful for me to make those photos and to have that time with Marika, and it really solidified our friendship. And then also have it come out with an award at the end. I was like, what is happening?
Oh, that's proper cool. That's really cool.
Yeah.
It's so lovely to hear about it all properly, because obviously for the vast majority of awarded images or stories, you know, I can't talk to everybody. So it's really interesting to hear the stories about them. It's there's cool. Tons
of winners that I was like, I would really love to know what's behind that.
Yeah, it's awesome to hear, isn't it? It's really cool.
Yeah.
Does Marika know that was awarded, that story as well?
Yes, she does. I messaged her right away. I was like, you'll never believe what happened.
Oh, that's cool. Oh, very cool. Oh, because she did a video for Reportage family members, which is great as well. So I've never met her, but the video she did was awesome. It was really cool.
Oh, yeah. Actually, she's the reason I joined. So.
Oh, yeah. I remember she said at the time. Oh, so that's all cool. It's cool.
It's all gone full circle, right? Yeah. In the first round. Yeah.
Oh, that's really cool. That's cool.
Yeah.
Right. Let's change tack a little bit. And do you watch much Netflix at all?
I do. I watch an embarrassing amount.
That's good. That's what we do. We're photographers. We watch Netflix. That's what we do. Right. So I'm doing a little fun kind of quiz that I've been doing for the past few episodes. If you're up for playing, just to do a Netflix.
Sure thing.
Okay, good. I like that attitude. Let's do it. So I'm just going to read out a Netflix synopsis for either a series or a movie, and you've just got to try and see if you can tell what movie or series it is. Okay. You ready?
I'm nervous.
Oh, I know. It's so funny, isn't it? Oh, no pressure.
Okay.
I'm just going to stop the interview if you get any wrong. No.
Okay. Just hang on.
Right. Okay. The first one. This is quite an old film. This is a little clue. Okay. So, a seasoned homicide detective and his new partner are on a desperate hunt for a killer whose gruesome crimes are based on the 7 deadly sins.
Oh, it's 7.
Yes, good one. Yeah, yes. I guess there's a little clue in that.
Start me with a good one. Yeah.
I'll start with an easy one.
Yeah.
I've not seen that in years. Actually, it is good though.
No, it was a good one though. Yeah.
Is that Morgan Freeman as well? Is it Morgan Freeman?
Yeah, and Brad Pitt, right?
Yes. Yeah, that's cool. Oh, I haven't seen Shawshank in years. I need to watch that again. I love
that. Oh yeah. I introduced my husband, I found out my husband hasn't watched Princess Bride yet.
Oh, really? Gosh.
Dude, we're going to have to fix that.
Yeah, I haven't seen that, though, since I was a kid, I think. Long time ago.
Yeah. Me neither. But I feel like everybody needs to have watched it once in their lives.
Yes, that's true. That's
12
true.
or 40.
Do you watch This Is Us on Prime, that series, you know?
I was watching it. I think I'm about a season behind now.
Okay, because they as a family, they watch The Princess Bride, don't they, as well?
Oh, do they? Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry. I just love that. I love This Is Us. This Is Us. It's just beautiful. It's like a grown-up Dawson's Creek. I love it. It's great.
Oh yeah, it kind of is, eh? Yeah.
Yeah. It is. Oh, I mean, it's kind of saccharine, but I love that. I think it's beautiful. It's cool. Yeah. Anyway, right. Okay. Are you ready for your next one in this?
Yes.
In this fun little quiz. Okay. So this is a series, a lot more modern. Just again as a clue.
Okay.
Okay. It's like a mini series. This anyway. Okay. Right. I can't say this word. A Hasidic Jewish woman in Brooklyn flees to Berlin from an arranged marriage and is taken in by a group of musicians until her past comes calling.
Is Is that unorthodox?
It is. Boom.
I haven't seen it yet, but I keep meaning to watch it.
Oh, it's cool. It's good. Yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting.
Excellent.
Well, that's 2 out of 2.
Is it based on a true story?
I think it is. I'm not sure, but I think it is. I think it is. I've still never shot a Jewish wedding, actually.
No, me neither.
Yeah, I'd love to. I've shot a few kind of weddings where they've had little like kind of Jewish traditions as a part of it, like the smashing of the glass and the kind of the throwing up the groom and on the chairs and stuff, but never a full-on proper. I'd love to do that one day. Sorry, okay, let's go on to your final one, see if we can go 3 out.
Okay.
So this is an older film as well. That's a little clue. Okay. A former nurse saves her favorite writer from a blizzard, but morphs from Oh, do you know?
Yes, I do, because I just made Rich watch this one too. It's Misery.
Oh, nice. Yes, it is. Super. 3 out of 3. That is.
I wish you had video now.
Oh, that is good skills, though. That is, because that was a mix of older stuff and modern as well. So that is really good. Yeah.
Why, thank you. I will bow.
I haven't seen Misery since I was a kid, and I just remember being so freaked out at the bit with the mallet, and
oh yeah,
oh man, I can't.
That's awful.
Yeah, that is brutal. Let's change off there. But you did so well there. 3 out of 3. That is great.
Well,
Top
thank you.
Okay, Ange, let's go back to photography. Okay, if someone was just thinking of starting out as a documentary family photographer, what advice would you give to them? Not specifically about starting out during a worldwide pandemic, but putting that aside.
Maybe I'll go in their house.
Yes, that would be the main bit.
That's a great question. If somebody was just
it's a tricky one.
Honestly, I always revert back to the business side of things, because I think that's where photographers really struggle the most. So I would say know your numbers first.
Right. Okay.
Run your cost of doing business as the most important thing you're going to do, because you're going to want to ask questions of other people about what you should charge, and they can't tell you because they don't know your cost of living.
That's so true.
Also, I think I have 3 answers. Is that
this is good? Good. That's all good.
Okay. So know your numbers, value print.
Okay.
I think a lot of people are inclined to just include the digitals right away and assume that that's what their clients want. And if there's anything that I've learned, when I started my business up until I think 3 or 4 years ago, I didn't even make the digital files available.
Right. Okay.
So value print, because your clients will value it if you value it. And the prints will be far more valuable over time than the digital files will. And I think a lot of people underestimate that.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Do you have a lot of kind of like physical prints and products to show clients like beforehand so they see them? And then
I have various bits and pieces on my website and on my Instagram highlights.
That's cool.
I often post stories. I ask clients all the time, like, send me pictures of your photos when they're up on the wall, if it comes up in conversation, or if I know that a client has a particular photo wall that has a ton of my work.
That's cool.
Or even just some of my work mixed in with their own photos, because I don't think it needs to be like a tribute photo wall to just photography, like
a little shrine.
Although some clients, all of the artwork on their walls is mine, and it's
that's cool though.
And it's an amazing feeling when I walk in their house and I see it, but it's also just a little bit strange because it is a bit shrine-like for me to see. But I love that they've done it. And
yeah, that's awesome, isn't it? That's very cool.
Yeah. I try to show print in real life whenever I can. There's photos hanging on the walls in the studio. I don't meet my documentary family clients in person beforehand, so they don't necessarily see the studio. I show I'll take videos or photos of like my weekly print order when it arrives, just to kind of keep that in the forefront of people's minds.
Yeah, that sounds really...
Spell this myth that it's all about the digital file.
Yeah, that's cool. That's so interesting to hear.
Yeah, it's something I'm quite passionate about print, and will hammer on about it forever. So
Oh, that's good. Yeah, really good.
And then my other advice for this specific genre would be to learn the difference between a moment and an action.
Okay. And what do you mean by that? Go on. That sounds good. Go on.
Because people doing something doesn't count as a moment, in terms of, understanding where you can find tension, how tension presents itself, what interactions, I guess an action can include the in-between, right? And not just the peak.
Right,
so,
okay.
make sure that you're shooting at the peaks and not in the valleys or on the downslope, so that you're getting those really strong photos for you. That's what you keep aiming for. But I think a lot of people who are new to the genre don't really understand that difference. So their galleries are action shots that don't carry any emotional impact.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
And it's a revelation whenever they're like, oh, wait, if I just, had taken this photo half a second later or had shot more, I would have included more and been able to pull that one. And then my slideshow would have that much more impact, and these photos would be so much more significant for this family.
That's cool. Great advice. Yeah, always good advice. No, it's really great. It's really
deep thoughts. For a Tuesday morning.
Yes. Definitely. I like deep. Deep is good. Deep is good. When you decided that you really wanted to pursue documentary family photography, specifically as a niche, was there much of a scene then at that time in Canada? And was it?
No.
Oh, okay. So how did you get your kind of first kind of clients?
I was the only person in my region doing documentary family photography at the time. I believe that, there's a couple people in each province who maybe were working on it at the time. I'm pretty sure Felicia Chang had been in the genre around the same time, if not a bit before. And Christina Nieborg has been working as a photojournalist and then had started doing family photography probably before I did. I don't know Christina's timeline, but there was definitely no education available in my area. So I had to do a ton of educating clients about what this would look like and what they would need to expect. And that's why there is so much information on my website, and that's why that referenced exists, is because I link people to it every time that anyone inquires about a family session, whether they've expressed an interest specifically in documentary family photography or they've just said, we want family photos. I will say, here's some information about what I specialize in.
That's really good. And link them to that. Yeah.
Yeah. Just so that they can kind of get an idea about what it's about. Even now, I still get people who really struggle with the idea of not dressing up and not posing. So that kind of helps. But at the time, what I did was I started out with 2-hour sessions. They might have actually been between 2 and 3 hour sessions, for a steeply discounted rate. With a few families I had worked with, and I called them toothbrush sessions because you brush your teeth at times of day when children are most vulnerable.
That's cool.
Or last thing at night. So I would arrive before the kids woke up and I would stay until mid-morning.
Right.
Or I'd arrive about half an hour before supper and stay until bedtime. And
cool.
Allowed me to get a lot of the parent interaction moments that I was kind of needing in order to explain what I do and to explore what it is that I thought I was going to do, even because I was so new.
That's such a good idea, those timings, especially. How did you think of that? That's like genius.
I don't remember, but I do remember feeling very pleased with myself.
Yeah.
Yes, this will work.
Yeah.
But I basically just figured out what I needed and when I would get that and how to promote sessions that would just give me that, because I needed to build a portfolio. So
that's a really good way of doing it.
My business brain just broke it down and went for it.
Super clever, really proactive.
Failure, just go in, looking ahead, right?
That's the way to do it.
That is my business model.
Well, it worked. It's super. And
well, yeah.
Those families that you did those like toothbrush sessions for, I guess a lot of them probably they wouldn't have had shots of their family kind of naturally interacting like that before. So what was their feedback like? It must have been interesting.
It was a lot of fun. I got a lot of the comments that I think we all receive whenever doing this type of work for the first time with a family. Like, oh, that was so much fun. It was so easy. It was nice to not have to worry about what the kids were doing. But also, I think it just spoke volumes in the types of photos that they were getting that were so different. You know, like tickle fights on the bed and the dinner table battles about who's going to eat what and how many more bites do you have to take before you can be done with your vegetables.
Oh gosh, I know that one. I have that every evening here.
Oh my goodness, I do not envy parents those battles. and like the sleepy morning faces and pancakes for breakfast and all of that jazz. Like I think that those types of photos are a revelation whenever families see them for the first time. And some families, even if they're seeing them for the fifth time, they still feel like a revelation.
That's so cool.
That's one of the awesome things about that genre.
Yeah, it's so awesome that you're able to provide that for these people. It's such a rewarding thing.
It's wildly rewarding. Yes.
It's so important. Yeah. It's awesome.
Yeah.
I love hearing about it. Yeah, it's so cool. It's so cool. I forget often that we're actually doing a podcast. It's just like, I'm just chatting. It's really nice. And we've never spoken before. It's just really nice.
No.
It's really nice. One thing I wanted to say is that stood out from your bio, by the way, because I was reading it obviously for researching into this, is that
you're doing some research.
Well, I got to do a bit. But it was one thing you say you have a profound hatred of socks.
Yes.
What is that about? What is that about?
I hate socks. My feet get super hot super fast.
Are you not wearing any at the moment then?
I am not, and I've taken my slippers off.
That's really funny. Yeah. Wow. I've never known anyone like socks.
Yeah, if I'm shooting a winter wedding, I will bring Birkenstocks and wear them inside and change into socks and snow boots when we go outside. And I will often do that in the parking lot because my feet are hot. Yeah, it's a slightly bizarre personality trait, I guess. But no, I just am warm all of the time. So
that's cool. I like that.
And there's usually like a celebratory first day of spring story in my Instagram, like of me just wiggling my toes in my Birks whenever I come outside. Like it's official. Yeah.
Love it.
It's bizarre, but
does your husband share your hatred of socks? Well,
no, he doesn't care.
Oh, okay. That's not what bonded you together then, was over your
No, we both do tend to wear flip-flops as late in the season as possible.
Okay.
And there's like a little moment of mourning whenever I have to put my sandals away in like November, sometimes December.
Sad day.
Whenever the snow has settled and stayed, then I'm like, oh, I guess it's time.
That's funny you say flip-flops, because in my Cornwall, that's like the normal footwear for a lot of people in Cornwall.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Go to the grocery store in January in your flip-flops.
Yeah, I think people do here. They do.
It totally wouldn't surprise me.
And I think, because I also read how you like books, and I sometimes ask this question, though I haven't in a while. So has there been a book that you've read that's had a lasting impact on you in some way? Could be fiction or non-fiction. Or anything, really.
Yeah, I do love books. I found that All the Light We Cannot See was one of the most beautiful books I've ever read. I was actually sad that I didn't get to spend time with the characters anymore whenever I finished it. I remember like flipping to the last page and kind of groaning.
Oh, really? I don't know that. I don't know it.
Oh, it's an incredible book that takes place in wartime France. And I highly recommend it to anybody. When Death Becomes Air was another beautiful book. It's a memoir and I knew what was going to happen by the end of the book. It's not a secret. And I was still ugly crying by the end of it.
Ugly crying. Oh, yeah.
It was an incredible book. I read a lot of nonfiction.
Okay, yeah.
I wouldn't say that I take inspiration from it in the same way that like, I don't know if anybody who listens to the podcast will know my friend Dave Moss. He is a wealth of knowledge about nonfiction books. He internalizes that stuff in a way that is unique to any human being I've ever met. That is not how I process those books. So I feel like I just kind of take little bits and pieces from them here and there until the point where I don't even remember where I got them from.
Yeah.
But I find like when I read for pleasure and I read for character development. So I'm more drawn to fiction than nonfiction.
Okay.
Those two books I highly recommend.
Oh, that's cool. I think that's really great. I'll have to check them out as well.
I also just finished The Murmur of Bees, which was written by a Spanish-speaking author. I can't remember if she's from Spain or from elsewhere. And then translated. And the man who did the translation, I should find the book. I'm tied to my laptop. The man who did the translation, it's artwork in itself. I mean, the book is beautiful, but to be able to translate something from Spanish to English so artistically is just unbelievable. You wouldn't know that it wasn't written in English as a first language.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, there must be a real art in that. There must be an art.
Oh my goodness. And like the understanding of the nuances of language is just phenomenal. I don't understand how anybody's brain can do that. It was just like a wonder to me.
That's cool. Is that fiction? Was that fiction?
It is fiction, yeah.
Okay, cool. Great recommendations. That's great. I think people listening as well will appreciate that. That's really cool.
I hope so.
I need to read more. How often do you read every day? Do you read every day?
Just about. I have always been a bedtime reader. So that's just been a habit that I've kept my entire life. I try to read every night. I go through phases where we will watch TV and then I fall asleep watching TV. Yeah. Generally speaking, I try to lose myself in a book before sleeping.
That's cool. Yeah. I need to do that more. I do need to do that more. I always, with these podcasts, I often say, I need to do this more. I need to do that more. And then I don't. So
you need to start a list of podcast shoulds. Like,
yes,
I should do this.
That's a good idea.
It's also a judgment about your own life. So be careful when you should yourself.
Yes. Well, I should start
yourself to death. It's an easy action item. Get your planner if you use a planner or your note app and have a podcast recommendation list.
It would actually, that's funny, but it would actually be very
lifetime shoulds.
Yes. Yeah, that's good. Do you have, talking of lifetime shoulds, that's a good point actually. Do you have any kind of like mentally in your head of lifetime shoulds, big, things that you want to do or
that we want to do? We are, so Rich and I don't have kids, which gives us a lot of flexibility in terms of our life choices. Right. And we are lifelong travelers. We met backpacking and we try to go traveling every year. We've had 6 trips canceled in the last year. So
yeah, nightmare. Not the best.
12 months, but generally speaking, we try to go somewhere that leaves us in awe every year. And cool. So that is kind of our lifetime should, but we're working on taking a sabbatical. Either it'll probably be in 2 winters time now, just based on the way things are going. And kind of cross off a few more of our big destinations, India, Japan. We've still been anywhere in South America. We were supposed to go to Ecuador last year. And the Galapagos, and it got canceled.
Oh, nightmare! Yeah,
our good old friend COVID. So we've got some travel destinations to cross off our should list.
That's cool. That's to be able to take a sabbatical like that as well. That's really exciting. That would be really cool.
Yeah. We've been really fortunate. Rich was a contractor, so if he didn't work, he didn't get paid, but he could plan for that. So we've done 3 extended 10-week or longer trips in the time we've been married. So we're itching to hit the road again.
Oh, I bet you are. Yeah. And you mentioned Japan. I'd love to go to Japan. That is.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. I had a client last year, a couple, and his family was from Cambodia and she is from Japan. He said, we were supposed to be leaving for Japan next week. And I was like, oh man, I am in the middle of researching and I am going to hit you up for information. And so now I'm just prolonging my research period.
Oh yeah. You'll know a lot about it.
I will know a lot about it. And we're planning all of our stops based on what I want to go and eat. So
oh yeah, I bet, man. Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. Like what cities have the best ramen and where is the best udon in different forms and all that jazz.
That's a good way to do it. Good way to do it.
Oh man. Yeah. I highly recommend it as long as you like food.
Yeah, I'd love to do it one day. Let's do it one day. Let's change tack again slightly, Ange. And I mean, because you wrote a really moving piece for us recently on our lasting impact feature, where photographers shared images that have had some kind of lasting impact on their lives, and yours was, in your own words, on the importance of taking on legacy work for my clients, taking on the job of making pictures for them to leave behind when they're gone. And it's a really moving, it's a beautiful image and moving words as well. Can you tell us a bit more about that? And for perhaps people who haven't read it or seen the image?
So the image is of a mother curled up on the floor, spooning her toddler child, her daughter. And in the photo, you can see an IV tube because the mother was receiving, she was on heavy doses of painkillers and other drugs. She was in the last stages of her battle with cancer. And I'm very emotional about this one. It was a really wonderful project to be able to do for her, because she recognized that she had this daughter who wasn't even 2 yet, who was going to grow up without her. So she met with a social worker early on, kind of midway through, I guess, her fight with her, she had lymphoma.
Okay.
And kind of came up with a plan to leave behind as much as she could for Charlie. And part of that was photos and audio and whatever she could, letters. So I was really touched to be asked if I would help her. So I did a day in the life for them in July. And then I did another one on Christmas Eve morning, which was when they were celebrating Christmas. Sam was in the hospital full time by then, and she would be allowed out on day release on the days when she was stable enough to go. So that image was meaningful because in July, I had seen them do the same thing. And Charlie would be playing on the floor, and kids play on the floor on their sides, on their backs, on their bellies, whatever. And the two of them would both play on the floor, laying down together and have a little cuddle and then go on with their day. And so when I saw it happen again in December, I thought in July that this was just this really sweet exchange. And I was really pleased to have caught it. But when I saw it again in December, I realized that this is a thing that they do. And if I do this right, Charlie will have evidence of this thing that she used to do with her mom that, she will have left behind years ago. But, maybe as a 12-year-old, she'll see a photo and have this kind of faint muscle memory of doing that. Or at least know that her mom was the sort of mom who would do that with her. Because everybody's lucky.
It's so special what you've captured. It's so special, and to be able to do that and provide that, it's amazing. And I thank you for talking about it. I know that can't have been easy, and
that's all right.
But what you wrote is so beautiful as well, and what you've done. I have so much respect for you for doing that as well, because I can only imagine how difficult that must have been. But you've provided something so beautiful as well.
Yeah, it was the single most important work I have done so far.
Oh, it's amazing, Ange. Honestly, it's amazing, and it's a beautiful image and amazing words. And thank you for talking about it.
Thank you.
There
I'm
as
happy
well.
to.
Oh, it's just mad. This, it's an emotional roller coaster.
We're all over the place emotionally. We're talking, we're talking about death and memory.
Oh, right. Let's change back then for that.
Okay.
It's beautiful. Anyone's listening now, they can head to, on if you head to thisreportage.com or thisreportagefamily.com, I'll include a link to that piece and Angie's image and words that she was just talking about there as well. Let's go. Let's say, Ange, let's just change it completely. What's a random fact about you that you think most people would be surprised to know? Bear in mind that they already know that you hate socks, so it has to be
right. I have no sense of smell, but still love to cook and eat.
Oh wow, really? Wow, no sense of smell at all. Like
nope.
Wow.
My parents think it was damaged during a procedure to unblock a tear duct when I was an infant.
All right.
But I have reached the point now where it comes. I wouldn't say it comes back, but it resurfaces maybe 4 times a year. So like I have recently smelled cardamom for the first time, and
oh wow,
see or might smell an orange, but generally speaking, no, I have no sense of smell.
Wow, gosh, man, I can't imagine. There can be some benefits to that, I can imagine, in some certain sense.
There are a lot of benefits.
Does it? But you talk about cooking though. Does it impact your tastes as well then and things?
So I think, and I mean, I don't have any scientific data for this, but it seems to only impact my ability to taste certain herbs.
All right. Okay. Wow.
Like I can taste pesto, but I'm pretty sure it doesn't taste the same to me as it does to you.
Oh, okay. That's probably a good thing that I hate pesto. Ooh, horrible.
Oh, really?
Yeah. My wife loves it. I hate it.
Interesting.
Yeah. Do you like it then? Do you like?
I can take it or leave it. It depends on what it's being used for. But I gravitate towards Asian cuisine, and I suspect that that's largely because of the fact that it plays off of your taste buds. So, like Thai food is all about balancing sweet and salty and spicy.
Okay.
So if you can balance those flavors, then you have this really great dish. And then, try to include some subtleties for the people who can smell them.
Right, yeah.
or who will pick them up. Yeah.
That is interesting, though. That is, yeah. How old were you when you actually kind of realised that then? Well, I suppose ever since you were a proper infant, then you knew. Or did you actually know?
No, I don't think I didn't. So the interesting thing is that I grew up in my city used to have a paper mill, and people would complain about the smell all the time. My city had a reputation as being a really smelly place to live.
Okay, right.
People who would come into town for hockey tournaments or whatever would be like, oh yeah, I've been there. It stinks. I'm like, well, the mill shut quite a while ago, so it doesn't stink anymore.
That's good.
I smelled it once in my life.
Oh, right. Wow.
I was extraordinarily nauseous, but that's my standard reaction to most smells for the first time. Like garlic caused the same reaction. So I don't know, like the milk could have smelled like garlic or it could have smelled like garbage. But yeah, it's a definite advantage when I was growing up.
Yeah, it does sound to be. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's really interesting.
Yeah.
Very interesting. Yeah. It's cool.
That's a very random fact. Not many people have that trait.
That is a random fact.
Yeah. It also makes the coronavirus screening where it says anything about like a loss of sense of smell.
Yeah.
Well, I haven't lost it, but I don't have it. I always just kind of skip over that one. I was like, it's not new, so it's fine.
Oh, that's funny. Wow. Yeah, cool. Mad.
Yeah.
I say I can't. Yeah, I can't. I mean, I once found one of my little claims to fame is that I once found a McDonald's that was almost a mile away from my nose. I reckon. I was just
No way.
yeah. Well, it was maybe half a mile. Probably it's a very long exaggeration. Yeah, coming out of a football ground, I just found the McDonald's and directed us all there just from the smell of it. It was great. It was great.
No way. That's impressive.
Yeah.
I would just be lost hopelessly. Like,
without a McDonald's. Do you like McDonald's, by the way? Like McDonald's?
I haven't eaten at McDonald's in a very long time.
Oh, really?
Oh. We used to drive from North Wales back to London, and there was a McDonald's just over the English border. I can't remember what city it would have been, and Rich will shoot me for not knowing. But that was like, all right, we just have to make it to McDonald's.
I get that.
The roads in North Wales are torture if you're not well, because it's like barely 2 lanes wide and hilly and windy. And
yeah. I used to go to North Wales but every weekend as a kid, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah, my parents had a caravan in Prestatyn and Tulacca near Rhyl in North Wales.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah.
I used to go there. I used to go to all the castles up there as well. Did you go around the castles in North Wales?
So his village is 7 miles from Carnarvon, which is like the center. So, I mean, there's Carnarvon Castle is a big one. I've been there.
Oh, it's cool, isn't it?
Yeah, there's a little fortress ruin in Llanberis. And
I've been there. Yeah, Llanberis.
Yeah, so that's one of my favorite places to go, actually. The area that the ruins are feels a lot like New Zealand. It's very mossy and hilly, and it feels like magic. It's a cool spot.
That's cool.
So those are the only 2 that I've been to in North.
Okay. That's all cool though. It's I love the way we can talk about such random things. I love it. And then come back to photography and then talk about smell and castles.
Yeah.
All good.
Well, I'm also laughing because I was like, the roads in North Wales are so hilly and windy. I'm like, they're kind of like Cornish roads.
Oh yeah,
that's super true. Narrow, and there's fewer hedges because it's mostly rock. But
yeah. Yeah, you know what? I still don't like driving in Cornwall, and I'm awful down single track roads. I get really anxious going down single track roads.
They're intense.
It is, isn't it? Oh,
yeah. People who've never driven them, it's no joke.
Yeah, it's true. And often wedding venues seem to be at the end of these.
Yes.
Yeah, it's true, isn't it? Yeah.
Yes. And I'm always terrified that we're gonna just plow into somebody.
Oh yeah, that has been one slight good side of Corona, is not having to drive so much, actually.
Right. Not so much traffic.
And I've kept you for an hour already. I've got my little cookie, but it's flying by. It's been so much fun. I've got time for one more question there still, but before I say that, it's just been so lovely talking to you.
This has been great.
Oh, good. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Let's go with it. Let's end with a practical one. So in terms of, because as something again photographer is always interested in, and rightly so, in terms of kind of marketing, and getting yourself out there, what's been the most effective marketing route for you?
Slideshows.
Oh, okay, cool.
So I get a lot of my business from clients, so word of mouth. And I, for my documentary family sessions, I do a slideshow for every family. I also blog almost every session. So I guess the combination of blog and slideshow together, because my clients share them, and I've had so many people reach out just saying, oh, I saw so-and-so's blog post or their slideshow, and it's incredible, or like, you do this for everybody. And the use of words and music to help people connect with images is it can't be overstated how important it is. It's highly underrated, I would say. People don't really understand just how powerful that is.
Right. Okay.
Yes, that's my marketing tip.
I think that's really good marketing tip. Yeah, really good. Yes. So I don't do slideshows at all. Actually, I really should. It just makes sense that they will share them, and they're so powerful like that.
Yep. And if you do print sales, going back to prints, it help them connect with individual images, because I think a lot of people in this genre a lot of our clients have a hard time understanding how they're going to hang individual images.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't find that I have that problem with my clients. They have no difficulty picking out photos for their walls. And then you can also use this slideshow as a way of, if you use Funny Designer or Smart Albums or any other album design software, you could create a slideshow using album pages so that you can see the story as side-by-side images and singles, depending on how you want your clients to connect with the work.
Oh, that's a clever. I never would have even thought of that. That's a great idea. Very good. No, that's all really good. Really good.
Okay, I'm glad.
Ange, man, thank you so much.
It's my pleasure, Alan. You made this so easy.
Oh, no, you made it easy. And you made it really fun and really interesting and really practical and great bits of advice and tips as well. It's just been perfect. Thank you.
Good. I'm glad.
Oh, it's been awesome. Really, really fab. And if anyone's listening now, whilst I always say the same things I always do the pots when I'm listening to podcasts. I don't know about you. What do you listen to much podcasts at all? I
do, yeah.
What do you do whilst listening to podcasts?
Can I just comment that I love your casual use of whilst?
Oh, really?
Very British thing. And we used to tease a friend of ours who did it so smoothly that every time I hear it now, I'm like, oh, yeah, there it is.
That's funny.
I'm listening to podcasts. I cook, I call, I edit, I drive. I don't listen to music. So I in silence a large part of my day. So if I need something in the background, it's often a podcast.
Okay, cool. Well, that's so good.
I'm not doing anything involving language because I can't process language in a podcast and language with my eyeballs.
No, that I understand that. Yeah, totally.
That's a colossal fail.
Well, that's got so if anyone's doing any of those things that Anne said, do head to thisreportage.com or thisreportagefamily.com, and I'll include a link through to Angie's site, and that as I say, the image and the words she wrote for the lasting impact piece as well, and hopefully I'll get to meet you one day. That would be cool.
Yeah,
that would be live awesome. About I don't know how many thousands of miles away we are.
About 5. I think.
It 5,000?
Something like that.
We should do a Cornwall exchange. We do a Cornwall house swap or something. Yeah.
Then we still wouldn't meet though.
Oh yeah, that's true. Well, that's it. Yeah. And then
you would know all about my life, just you would still wouldn't see me.
Yeah, forget that. That was a silly idea. But it's been cool that we've done. I love the way this podcast is from Cornwall to Cornwall and different sides.
Yeah,
really cool.
That's fun.
And but if obviously we'll be doing a party as this reportage and this reportage family this Christmas. I know it's a long way to come.
Nice.
But if you ever fancy coming over to England,
Well, we're there often.
Oh yeah, do you come over to Wales then quite a bit? Do you?
Well, we try. It's kind of like on average once every 8 months. So some years it's twice, and some years it's once.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Well, that'd be cool. Let me know when you.
All right. I will.
That would be cool. And I hope you have a good year. And
I hope,
so much. Yeah, I hope things are all good. But thanks again. That was
you
awesome.
As well. Okay. Thanks so much, Alan. Take care.
Bye, Ange.
You've been listening to the 68th episode of the This Is Reportage podcast. I thoroughly enjoyed talking to Ange. She's so lovely. Hope you enjoyed listening too. Head to thisisreportage.com or thisisreportagefamily.com to see a link through to her website, the lasting impact image she spoke about, as well as photographic proof of her disdain for socks. We have lots more episodes of the podcast available too, where we speak to wedding and family photographers from all over the world, delve into our back catalogue to hear from the likes of Adam Johnson, Stephen Hareshaft, Els Corsten, Dominique Shaw, Julia Rose Grime, Philip Swiggers, Rocio Vega, and many more. If you're not yet a member of This Reportage or This Reportage family, check out all the benefits of joining us, including an unlimited number of images on your profile, 60 individual award and 18 story award entries per year, invites to our physical meetups and parties, exclusive discounts, hours of educational videos featuring tips and advice from some of the world's best photographers, and much more too. The submission deadline for our second collections of 2021 is just days away now. The deadline is the same for both our wedding site and our family site. Submit by 23:59 GMT on 24th of March 2021. No poses, nothing staged. This is Reportage. And this is bye for now.